Managing Director of Super Apps Private Limited. He's building SaaS products like Gigipoint, Mr. Subhash Kanuru.
And I learned how to build business applications. Then I moved on to Oracle, and it has been a quite significant shift from the mindset perspective.
It sounds like those early experiences really shaped the way you approach challenges today.
I had two significant changes. One, moving from established company to a startup. Then second, moving from a technology background to a executive role or a leadership role.
Hey everyone, welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders powered by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm your host Charu Mehra, and today's episode is about the people who build quietly but whose systems carry real businesses every single day. Joining us today is someone who's lived that journey end to end, Mr. Subhash Kanuru. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, sir. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me, Charu. I'm doing great. It has been a real pleasure to be here on FaceTime with Leaders.
Wonderful. That is so great to have you with us, Mr. Subhash. Now, for everyone listening, here's why today's conversation matters. Mr. Subhash is the managing director of Super Apps Private Limited, where he's building SaaS products like Gigipoint, Milan, and Upskill, owning everything from product vision to architecture and execution. Before stepping into entrepreneurship, he spent 15 years at Oracle as a senior principal application engineer, working on project management and ERP financials, the kind of enterprise systems where accuracy, scale, and reliability are non negotiable. With nearly 2 decades in software, Mr. Subhash brings together enterprise discipline, startup speed, and now a strong focus on AI agent development. So, Mr. Subhash, let's get started.
Thank you, Charu, for the warm introduction. I'm really excited here to have this conversation. It has been an incredible journey for me, and I'm always energized to share insights and learn from discussions. The transition from Oracle large scale systems to startup innovation has given me a unique perspective, and I'm very passionate to have conversations around it. Let's dive in.
Wonderful. All right. So, starting with our first segment, which is about your journey. Mr. Subhash, let's start at the beginning. You worked across enterprise companies, built large systems, and now you're building your own product as a managing director. In simple words, can you share your career journey with us so far and how it naturally led to you where you are today?
Sure. So my career started at Infosys. Like many others, I got campus placement and I took that opportunity. I worked for few Fortune 500 companies in Infosys and I learned how to build business applications. Then I moved on to Oracle, and it has been a quite significant shift from the mindset perspective because earlier one was a consulting and services company, and this being a product company. There is a good shift about the depth that we have to go into while developing or architecting a product. The innovation, the design thinking, there is a lot of architecture involved when we deal with products, whereas when it's a client requirement, most of the information is given by the client and a minimal architecture is required for client applications. While I'm doing this work at Oracle, I always had this doubt that why are we not working for an Indian company? So I always have a concern about brain drain, that Indian graduates are going to foreign countries and working for foreign companies and improving the economy of other countries rather than India. So I always had this in my mind, but I always kept myself composed, thinking that, okay, we are working for the betterment of humanity and not for any company or a nation. So that's what I always had in my mind. And now with AI coming into picture, I felt there is a lot of opportunity. Why not use that opportunity? and moved to a startup. At that time, I moved to super apps, and finally now I'm satisfied that I'm working in an Indian company and working for Indian problems and finding solutions for Indians. So then the technology background and strategic execution leadership is the significant change that I saw here, and I'm learning a lot of things going forward.
Wow. That's so interesting. It sounds like those early experiences really shaped the way you approach challenges today. And also, I really like the fact that you wanted to give back to the country you belong to. So that is such a genuine thought. So thank you for sharing your journey with us so honestly. You've seen both worlds, Mr. Subhash. Large enterprise environments like Oracle, and now fast-moving reality of building your own company. So let me ask you this. When you move from a structured enterprise setup to running a startup, what was the biggest mindset shift you personally had to make? Not technically, but as a leader.
Yeah, actually, I had two significant changes. One, moving from established company to a startup. Then second, moving from a technology background to a executive role or a leadership role. So I'll try to answer both. At Oracle and in large enterprises, you operate like you are driving on a six-lane highway. There are guardrails, there is GPS, there are so many checks and balances that are around you, which make sure everything is going smooth. Whereas in startup, it's like you are on an off-road. There are no guardrails, no GPS, sometimes there is no path at all. So we have to create our own path. And here is the kick where you are responsible for everything and you are finding that path. That's what I enjoyed most in the startup. It is a slow, in a startup, if you are slow and if you are right, that's equivalent to being wrong. So the pace at which we work has a radical shift.
Right.
So it's about our ownership and the vulnerability that we have. So there is a huge chance of failure as well if the decisions taken are not right.
Right.
In an enterprise, you manage functions, and most of it, the ecosystem takes care of rest of things, whether it is sales, marketing, etc., etc. Whereas in your startup, you lead people, and these people are betting their careers on the vision and decisions this leadership takes. That's a huge responsibility. Rather than the financial impact, if something goes wrong, the people's careers are at stake. That gives me like immense responsibility that I have to carry, and I feel that's the challenge of moving to a startup.
Wow, the contrast here is so interesting, and it's clear how different these environments are and the kind of adaptability it demands from a leader. I can see how that would be a turning point for anyone. It shows that how much leadership is tested when you can't rely on structure or processes. So, thank you for sharing your views so honestly with us. You're currently building multiple SaaS products at Super Apps. When you are deciding what to build next or what not to build, what usually guides you more? Customer feedback or your own experience or long term vision? How do you strike that balance?
Yeah, we look at three aspects. One, what is the market gap? And can we figure out a solution for that gap? And can we make that solution a viable business? And these three aspects are so important and sometimes tied up together. So if there is a market gap and people are used to current methodologies,
Mhm.
even if that gap is there, even figuring out a solution and giving it to the customer, it's the customers are not going to adopt it. So we have to ensure that solution is not just desirable for the customer, it is a must have for that customer.
Mhm.
And even if we know the target segment upfront, getting the first set of customers again is a challenge,
Right.
because there is a fear when, especially if we are a startup and we are going and proposing a solution. okay, how long will the startup continue? What is the trust on this particular solution that we are providing? So many challenges are there. So unless we cross those bottlenecks, we can't even make ourselves successful.
Right.
The solution that we make, then the third part aspect is the solution that we make has to be made as a viable business, where for a big companies, because of their scale at which they operate, they can easily make businesses out of existing solutions. But for a startup where we are struggling for funding, etc., it is very tough to make a viable business with a small sizable customer base.
Right.
So that's another challenge that we have to surpass. So it's about these three aspects are the ones, and of course the customer feedback. So once we launch something as an MVP to the market for validation, then the customer feedback comes in, and if based on that feedback we keep aligning ourselves.
Right.
Earlier at some point of time, if we go back maybe 3 years 4 years ago, when Gen AI was not there, building an MVP was costlier. So we used to follow approaches where we did market surveys, customer interactions, to find out whether there is a this solution is a right fit for that market or not. Now with generative AI, the cost of building MVP itself has like reduced a lot. So I
Right.
feel recently, uh, if you have an idea, just build the MVP, launch it to the market, validate it. That this path I feel is a much more reliable path when compared to the earlier paths.
Wow, that's really a nuanced challenge. And it's interesting to hear how you weigh these different perspective in practice. That perspective really clarifies your approach and it shows how much thought and reflection goes into your decision making.
Okay.
So, Mr. Subhash, you're also working with AI and AI agents now, which a lot of leaders are curious about. From your perspective, what's one practical way businesses can start using AI meaningful today without complicating things or chasing buzzwords?
Okay. I think the biggest trap businesses fall into today is the fear of missing out. There is a buzzword called AI, and if we don't adopt it, and if there is no strategy around AI adoption in the company, then we are left behind. So that's the fear with which most of the companies I see are operating.
Right.
But I feel AI is not a plug and play solution. It's not like you have a solution for your business and AI, we can just plug in AI inside it. I feel AI is drastically changing the business process. There is an opportunity, and we can change the business process to utilize AI much more effectively. For example, once upon a time, recruitment process was so we had resumes, and there were automation which used to screen those resumes, and
Right.
rest of the process is handled manually. Now, if you look at the business process, there is no human intervention, right from resume
Right.
screening, right from interviews, at least the first level interviews, and scheduling the interviews, talking to the candidates, all of it is automated using AI. So the HR functionality in the organization itself has changed. So if we think about business process change, and that we can bring in and use AI to change that, to make that business process itself optimized, then I feel AI adoption is a good thing. And similarly, expense reporting. So earlier people used to submit their expense reports. Now, as long as there is an integration to get the report directly, rest of the expense approval and the rest of the process, compliance checks, etc., is again automated. So it
Right.
can take intelligent decisions. It's not like a rule-based one where okay, you set certain policy and by rule-based it works. Now it can read the expense, understand the intent, read the policy, understand the intent, and with some reasoning, it can take a decision. And
Right.
only if necessary, it can move it to some manual approval. So these are the kind of changes that I see. And similarly, if you see earlier we had recommendation engines or fraud detection or spam filtering. So most of these scenarios were handled via ML
Mhm.
part of the AI. Now with Gen AI coming into picture, it is taking AI to the different level, next level. It's not just recognizing patterns, it can create new patterns. It can decide with reasoning. So all these capabilities makes the AI more powerful. Now, even within our company, we use AI for building our applications or client requirements. Our own products are also built using AI. So developers, like earlier, they are not coding in Java or no, or let's say React or even Python. This coding is gone now. Now we have moved to one more higher order level. So we are coding for agents, and agents are specialized functions which take care of building certain components.
Right.
So it has evolved to the next level. We in our platform called Gigipoint. So there is a freelancing platform, and freelancers are not expected to code in Java or Python. They are expected to code agents to use our own studio and build the products. So it has evolved, and revenue models have changed. For example, if you compare all other freelancing platforms, they live on a revenue model called commission. So some 5%, 10% commission, etc. Now our revenue model in Gigpoint is, let's say 50% of the work can be built using agents.
Mhm.
Now our revenue depends on how much we can automate. If we can automate more, we get more revenue. Rest of it, let's say other 60% could not be automated, we freely pass through. So that entire 60% goes through the freelancer who is actually helping build the product. So our revenue model itself have changed. So there is a lot of churn. The business process will change, and only if we adopt those things, then AI adoption makes
Right.
better. It gives a better meaning.
Hmm. Wow, that's really a practical way to look into it. It shows you understand both the hype and the real world challenges leaders faced. That perspective is insightful. It really emphasizes the importance of thoughtful implementation over chasing trends. So, thank you for sharing that with us. Mr. Subhash, it's now time to shift gears. This is our fun rapid fire round. These are short questions, quick answers. Whatever comes to your mind first, you just say it. Okay?
Okay.
All right, let's begin. The first one. What's the first thing you usually do when you start your day?
When I am awake. So I, like most of the people, I also check my phone for the previous messages, etc. I hate to do that, but that's what I do today.
That's how, yeah, I can understand. Okay, next one. Your go-to comfort food after a long and stressful day.
I like, so I'm from Andhra Pradesh. So I like Telugu food like dal and rice.
Wow, nice. Okay. One activity that really helps you relax instantly.
I either go for a walk or maybe I play badminton for some time.
Wow, wonderful. Okay. Next one. A book that has influenced the way you think or work.
Okay. Secret is a book. So the name of the book is Secret. So it's about manifestation. I feel that's a great book for everybody to read.
Wow. I've heard a lot about that book. I'll probably pick it up the next one, next time I read something.
Sure.
Next one. One leader you admire. It can be past or present.
Okay. So Mr. Narayan Murthy of Infosys, I admire him a lot for his vision and ethics that he brought into the organization.
Wow, nice, wonderful. Okay, next one. Your favorite movie or a TV series to watch? Rewatch.
I don't watch much of a movies or series, but I definitely don't rewatch. I might be watching on OTT, like binge watching on some weekends, but I don't like to rewatch anything.
Watch. All right. That's fair. Your favorite, this one I've asked. One place you'd love to travel to next.
I would like to travel in whole of India. I never spent enough time in traveling, so I always have that wish at back of my mind.
Wow, wonderful. First cover your country and then think about going abroad. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of times people are just interested in going abroad, but there are so many beautiful places here in India itself.
Yeah.
All right, next one. A skill you're currently trying to improve.
I'm not that much on social media platforms like Instagram, etc. The max I am in is on LinkedIn. So I think I should cope up with the skills of making TikTok videos or Instagram reels, etc.
Okay, next one. Your favorite way to spend a weekend?
I spend time with my friends if possible, or either sleep.
Wow, okay, all right. Next one and the last one. Success for you in one word.
Uh, Success for me is right now I'm running a startup. So if the startup is successful, then I feel myself successful.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Subhash. That was a really fun and candid and honest rapid fire round. So thank you so much for being so open with us. Mr. Subhash, you worked on systems where reliability really matters. And now you're building products that people and businesses depend upon. Let me ask you something slightly reflective. Over the years, have you ever come across a situation, without naming anyone, that made you pause and rethink how teams or organizations should operate? Not from a technical angle, but from a leadership or a responsibility point of view.
Okay. So I had this change from an MNC enterprise to a startup. And I like one thing that happens in startups, which is the flat organizations. Whereas in an established organization, it is tough to have flat hierarchy. It maintains a hierarchy, and people's ideas or people's thought process, I feel it is always limited because of that structure.
Mhm.
Whereas in startup, since it is flat, you have access to people at different levels, and even if you have new ideas, the people are encouraged to discuss about them, and the whole sense of ownership also changes when you know things that happen at the next level or at the next order. The thought process of the person will change by understanding the impact that the whether it's a product delivery or a coding developer, everywhere, at every level. Once they know the next level thought process, the higher order thought process, their implementation or their design thinking will change. So I always feel this kind of culture should be there in even established I know it is tough, but there should be a way where everybody should adopt this kind of a culture. And another problem that I see is all companies or organizations or enterprises, they established offices at some point of time, but COVID has changed that to remote working. Now people have a flexibility of remote working and all. Now I feel it's the time to think about our rural economy. So there is a lot of talent lying there, and if we keep bringing all the talent only to urban cities, it's not going to scale. So I feel the organization establishment models also have to change and encourage people working from remote areas and rural areas. That's when I think overall country will develop rather than just problem with urbanization.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Wow. This situation really highlights the complexities a leaders face. And it is interesting to hear how it makes one pause and reflect. Your perspective is quite insightful here, sir. And it really shows how leadership is as much about trust and responsibility as it is about strategy. So thank you for sharing your views on that with us.
Sure.
At this stage of your journey, you chose to engage with Directors Institute. What motivated that decision for you? And how has the experience helped you think differently about governance, leadership, or long-term responsibility as a managing director?
Okay. I haven't been I have been so much focused on building, and I haven't invested enough in stewardship. I kept thinking about my leaders that I admire, people like Narayan Murthy or even Satya Nadella. I try to see what they do differently.
Right,
And they seem to understand leadership isn't just about vision and execution, it's more about oversight, accountability, governance, and long term thinking. And that made me feel that I can improve my skills there, and that's when I approached Directors Institute. And there was a question from one of my friends: what decision would you make differently if you know that your company would exist for 50 years?
wow,
That stopped me cold because I realized I have been optimizing myself for the next quarter or maybe next year at max, but not for resilience,
right,
not for the kind of long term responsibility that actually builds institutions and not just companies. So those are the moments that where I felt I need to learn a lot, and then I approached Directors Institute and learned some of the aspects and some of the governance aspects that I learned. Like I said earlier, everyone should have the higher order thinking, second level orders, third order thinking, and even my current meetings, even the team meetings at lowest level, I try to simulate some kind of a board level interaction there so that the thought process changes. It's
right,
not just about building a product. They should understand if we launch to the market, what are the problems that we are going to face, and is that problem something related to the way I'm building my product.
mhm,
So if those thought processes come in at the much team level meetings, I feel we can build products at without redoing some of the work. Otherwise, also we have to build, then go to the next level and feel that okay, there is something that needs to be changed and there is a rework that has to be done.
right, right.
So these are the skills or thought process change that I had after undergoing this trainings.
Wow, thank you for that feedback for the institute, Mr. Subhash. This, whatever you said, gives clearly a sense of understanding as to why this step was important for you. And it's interesting to see how reflection at this stage can shape long-term thinking, the way you talked about, a 50-year plan. So that is this step is, I feel, very strategic for you, and that perspective really highlights the depth of experience, and it's insightful to hear how initial challenges led to meaningful growth. So thank you for sharing that with us, and I really wish you all the best for the future of for your career and for the company.
Sure. Thanks, Charu, so much for having me and having this conversation.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Subhash. This has been a really thoughtful conversation today. What stood out wasn't just the technology or the products that you're building, but the way you think about responsibility, decision making, and growth. From enterprise systems to startup products, and now into broader leadership and governance. Your journey reminds us that building things is important, but building with intent is what makes it last. Mr. Subhash, thank you once again for sharing your time and your experience with us.
Sure. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If this conversation resonated with you, take a moment to reflect where you're headed next and what kind of leader you want to become along the way. I'm Charu Mehra, and this has been FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.